request Rosemary to start this debate. She is again one of the activists known for her work.
Mr. Chairman, my esteemed panelists, and brothers and sisters of India's largest people's movement, I'm here to congratulate the National Alliance of People's Movement for your 30 years of struggle. The NAPM with its various organizations have also been the biggest supporters of movements in the Northeast, movements against AFSPA, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, movements against dams over the Teesta, over Arunachal dams, many, many issues that we have taken up over the years. We have received solidarity from all of you on fact-finding missions against the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, extrajudicial killings. The NAPM organizations have been our partners. And for that, I bring you greetings, I bring you gratitude from the civil societies that I represent today, the Global Naga Forum as well as the Naga Mothers Association. The Northeast, from which I come from, lives on the periphery of this great, supposedly democratic country that we call India. And yet, there are so many issues about the Northeast which is disregarded. The amount of policies that have come out from the government of India is actually not really implemented, no accountability. The Look East policy as well as the Act East policy has evaded questions of land rights, community rights, property rights, and we are back questioning what is democracy in a so-called country that Mahatma Gandhi began the Swaraj movement. In the Northeast, you have 3 states, Assam, Manipur and Nagaland, that still reels from the Armed Forces Special Powers Act that is unconstitutional, started in 1958 to handle the Naga movement and the Naga insurgents, and continues still today. Arrest without warrant, killings, extrajudicial killings. We have had massacres. Recently, the last was a year and a half back, Oting massacre by paratroopers who came and killed villagers at night with sophisticated guns. Till today, we have not seen any justice for bombings in villages, for rapes and murders by the Indian armed forces. And mind you, I'm not talking about Indian civilians, I'm talking about the Indian armed forces that have penetrated, militarized our region and our hills. And till today, we suffer from these kind of inequalities that the rest of the country does not suffer from. Perhaps Kashmir, which followed the Nagas as far as the AFSPA is concerned. We now have a new policy by the government of India, and this is border fencing. When you look at the map of the Northeast, we have Nagas that spill over into 4 states, and we share borders with Myanmar. More than half of our population lives in Myanmar, and they look to us, those living in the West in India, for health, for education, for livelihood facilities and opportunities. The latest policy of the government of India to fence the borders, border fencing has begun from Manipur. It will stretch on to the other hills in Arunachal, and I'm here to seek your solidarity, to ask for repeal of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, to stop border fencing along the areas, the Naga areas particularly, between Myanmar and Nagaland, where Arunachal, Manipur, where most of our Nagas live on the borders. The government of India has now stopped the free extension of the free movement regime. An appeal for peace, the Naga peace talks, as well as the peace movements in the Northeast, be it in Assam, be it in Tripura, be it in Manipur, be it in Nagaland, all of us are reeling from peace talks that are ongoing and never ending. The Naga peace talks since 2017, 2015, peace accords have been signed. For more than 21 years, the peace process is on, and it continues with no action and no willingness and no political will from the government of India. We seek your solidarity for peace in the region and for a peaceful resolution of the Naga peace talks. All of you are familiar with the conflict in Manipur that began last year and continues till today. We are yet to hear and see the Prime Minister of India entering the state. When has he talked about peace in the state, where hundreds have been killed, thousands destroyed, thousands displaced, raped, and women raped and murdered with no accountability? I was a member of the Citizens Tribunal set up by the PUCL, and we traveled the length and breadth of Manipur, and we have seen with our own eyes the displaced victims. No justice to the victims' families, no justice to the victims, hundreds and thousands of them who live actually in two separate areas of the state of Manipur. We appeal for justice, we appeal for action, punitive action on the perpetrators. The Chief Minister has stepped down, but there seems to be no action on any of the violence and killings and rapes and murders that have been committed. We seek your solidarity on the issue of the conflict in Manipur and peace for Manipur. Like the rest of the country, we are well aware that whatever happens in mainland India happens to all of us, whether it be on corruption, whether it be on lack of accountability, whether it be on social and political changes. The region and the Northeast also is going through the same kind of processes. Uniformity is something that we are talking about now, the Uniform Civil Code. One people, one nation. What is this? We all come from different nations. We all come from different areas. I do not understand Hindi. Hindi is not my language, but we respect each other's movements, we respect each other's language, and that must be also kept in mind by the government of India that believes in democracy, that has a constitution to defend each one of us as citizens. The Naga Mothers Association started a movement for women's rights in reservation in municipalities when the rest of India was already enjoying women reservation in all cities in India. You will not believe it took us 20 years with a government that was unwilling to give tribal women their rights to reservation. Last year, we got the reservation passed through the Supreme Court directive. The Chief Minister, everyone was hauled up by contempt, and elections were held. Today we have hundreds of Naga women sitting in these municipalities. We have 2 women who are now legislators in the more than 60 years of legislature where Nagaland had never seen a woman legislator. So we are fortunate. The rest of the Northeast are fortunate, whether it is Arunachal, Manipur, we have Meghalaya, Tripura, Assam, we have a galaxy of women political leaders who are making a difference in their own states and for their people and their voices. As far as gender inequality is concerned, we share the same concerns with the rest of India. Inequality, customary laws that inhibit women, no access to ancestral property rights, no maintenance rights, child marriage, economic inequality. The feminization of poverty is the same in the rest of India and in all of India, including us. It is the women who are poor. It's the women who have no access to these kind of basic healthcare, basic facilities, opportunities which are found in the rest of the country. So what kind of justice are we looking at? What kind of equity are we looking at in the days ahead? Unless we unite and stand up and we get together, wherever we may be it in Kashmir, be it in mainland India, be it in the region, I think it is time for all of us to stand together and raise our voices. Communalism and violence against minorities, against Dalits has been happening. What about racist attacks? Attacks against Christians, burning of Christian churches. In Manipur alone, last year, more than 200 to 300 Christian churches were burned. And there was not a word from the government of India about protection of Christians. These are the realities that we live with today. How much of Indian citizens and how much of citizens' rights do we really enjoy within the region? And our voices, and are our voices heard? Unemployment, migration, underemployment, drugs and abuse, HIV and AIDS. The Northeast states, many of our states, because of the proximity towards Myanmar and because of the free movement of drugs, we are already seeing such a high effect of HIV and AIDS, drug abuse. We've had whole generations of our youth who have lost their lives to drugs and HIV and AIDS. Health facilities are major concerns. So much of poverty on the border regions of our northeastern states. Who really cares? Because it is militarized. It is just a part of the military, the Indian military, and nothing else. Even state governments do not seem to have any voice in it. And least of all, the silence of the government of India, sitting in Delhi. This is why many of us from the region, academics, intellectuals, many of us think that there is an India that undermines the intellectual capacity of Northeasterners, the intellectual capacity of women, the intellectual capacity of our youth. And this is something we should not let it happen. As people who have struggled for justice, as people who struggle for democracy, we live on the periphery of your imagination. And I hope today you will all be there in solidarity with us. Fundamental rights, the principles of the rule of law, the judiciary, I think these are all institutions we still believe in and we want to believe in. If we talk about democracy, if we talk about constitutional justice, these are the machines and machinery we must protect and we must believe in. And we are here to tell you that we are in solidarity with all your struggles. We had key Telangana activists, and that is why I'm reminded of Hyderabad. Key Telangana lawyers and activists who visited Nagaland at the height of your Telangana movement and spoke in a rally organized by the Naga mothers on Shed No More Blood. It was a rally against AFSPA, it was a rally against violence, and that was where we had our Telangana activists who came. And I'm remembering them today, and in solidarity with all of you, the farmers' rights, the people's rights, laborers' rights, students' rights. India has so much to teach us, the Northeasterners. And I think Northeast too has so much to teach all of you. Our mineral rights, our land rights, our waters, the dams, all against people's consent, with no prior consent and information, the mining, the oil, the kind of intrusion of corporates that have come into the Northeast region is unbelievable. And that is where we see your solidarity. We wish you more power. Thank you for inviting me.
see, now these are the concerns, but a large part of India perhaps doesn't understand what is exactly happening in Nagaland, because for Nagas, rest of India is our armed forces. And for rest of India, Nagas means only those armed forces and it's not that. There are a large number of Nagas who love Indian people. There are a large number of Indian people who love Nagas. So I think it is people to people interaction finally that's likely to protect you and protect the democracy. We thank you for a very powerful presentation.
एक ही मिनट में हिंदी में रोजमेरी ने बहुत ही दमदार तरीके से पूरा उस इलाके के क्षेत्र की जो कई बार क्योंकि हम सब जो इस तरफ रहते हैं उत्तर पूर्व को हम कभी कभार अखबार में शायद देख लेते हैं या हमारे नजरिया में वो रही रहता है या सिर्फ मिलिट्री के द्वारा हम कुछ उसके बारे में जानते हैं, बट वहां पर भी कितने जिंदा कौम है, लोग हैं, उनकी भी जो पूरा रहन सहन से लेकर वो जो झेलते हैं वो जीते हैं उसके बारे में भी बहुत सारे अल्फाजों में रोजमेरी ने कहा। मुख्य रूप से पूरा जो मिलिटराइजेशन मतलब सेना का, और उन्होंने खासकर ये मांग की कि जो आर्म फोर्सेस स्पेशल पावर्स एक्ट मतलब जो विशेष अधिकार है सेना को, भारत की सेना को, वो जो कानून है और लगभग 60 सालों से वो कानून अभी भी है उन इलाकों में है, तो उस कानून को वापस लेना चाहिए, रद्द करना चाहिए। हम सब ने यूएपीए के बारे में जैसे सुना है तो ऐसे ही आफ्सपा भी ऐसा कानून है उसको भी रद्द करना चाहिए। और रोजमेरी ने इस बात को भी कहा कि भारत के अन्य कई सारे जो जनसंगठन यहाँ पर भी बैठे हैं, हम लंबे समय से उनके साथ एकजुटता में रहे हैं, तेलंगाना के भी संगठन वहां पर गए हैं, एकजुटता में रहे हैं, मणिपुर का हाल ही में हमने सुना है, बट उन्होंने कहा कि वो नागालैंड में हो या मणिपुर में हो, लगातार हिंसा लोगों के ऊपर, क्विटिंग का जैसे उन्होंने उदाहरण दिया, 2 साल पहले भी जो नागालैंड में हिंसा हुई थी, अभी पिछले 1.5 साल में मणिपुर में लगातार हिंसा के कारण मतलब महिलाओं के ऊपर वो जो हिंसा हो या अन्य तरीके से पूरा रेप से लेकर बाकी पूरा हिंसा हो, उसके खिलाफ वहाँ के स्थानीय लोग भी, वहाँ के संगठन, वहाँ के महिलाएं खास करके जो नागा मदर्स एसोसिएशन जो माओ का एक संगठन है वो सशक्त रूप से लगातार काम करती आई है और वो कहते हैं कि हम भी लोकतंत्र चाहते हैं, हम भी न्यायपालिका की व्यवस्था ठीक से चले, बट वो चलना चाहिए, बट वो हो नहीं रहा है। इस बात को भी उन्होंने सामने लाया है। बहुत सारे मुद्दे हैं, वो बड़े बांधों के खिलाफ का संघर्ष हो या अन्य जो कंपनी वहां पर आकर पूरा कंपनीकरण जो हो रहा है, सिर्फ यही बात जो हरगोपाल सर भी शुरुआत में कह रहे थे, बट वहां पर लोग हैं तो लड़ रहे हैं, महिलाएं भी जैसे अपना वहां के समुदायों के महिलाओं के भी विशेष अधिकार हो या आरक्षण का संघर्ष हो, उसके लिए बहुत मेहनत करना पड़ा और आखिर में सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक जाकर वो लड़ाई में वो जीते भी। तो उन्होंने कहा कि हम उन सब संघर्षों में भी लगे हुए हैं, मगर हम भी बहुत भारत के अन्य संगठनों से सीखते हैं और यहाँ के संगठन भी उत्तर पूर्व के जो वहाँ के संघर्ष है उनसे भी सीख सकते हैं। तो हमारा जो एकजुटता है ये बिल्कुल कायम रहना चाहिए।
One should go to Nagaland and visit a Naga family, then you would understand how lovable they are. You become immediately a member of the family. The minute you enter and start interacting, you become a member of the family. Such a decent